Hello and welcome to Dr. Viola Voila Voices, a podcast and YouTube series produced here in gorgeous Ipswich at ICAM Studios. Today I'm joined by extra special guests, the Ipswich River Watershed Association. If you'd like to please introduce yourself, any pronouns, and pertinent information. Let's see, Carla, if you want to go first.
Sure. I'm Carla Villa. I'm the engagement manager here at Ipswich River Watershed Association, and my pronouns are she, her.
And I'm Emma Hewen. I am the Environmental Education Programs Manager. My pronouns are she and they.
And we are on the river, literally, because today you had a cleanup event, if you want to tell us more.
Sure. So today's a great example of the work that we do. We started out the morning with a bunch of volunteers down here at the Ipswich River cleaning up, just picking up trash together. We spent 2 hours. We time it with the tide, so we make sure we can kind of get into the river a little bit. And it's a big part of what we do is to engage people, to inspire, some love for the river. And I think so many people get so much out of the river, whether they realize it or not. When you live here, when you see the river every day, when you spend time on it paddling or swimming or fishing or whatever it is you do, I think that, we like to provide these opportunities for people who really have a connection to the river to give back to the river, which is kind of what this morning was about with the cleanup.
How often do the cleanups happen?
It's somewhat new for us. We had one in the fall, and then we just had one in the spring. In the fall, we picked up 700 pounds of trash. And it was because during drought, and this is a great example of we've been in a drought since the fall, and we chose to see it as an opportunity. Right now, there's a lot more water in the river than there was in the fall, but in the fall, you could really get into the riverbank. It was so exposed that it was the perfect opportunity to go in and pick up trash. We were able to access parts of the rivers that we wouldn't have been able to access otherwise. So we used the challenges of the drought as an opportunity to pick up 700 pounds of trash, which none of us were really expecting to get that much trash out of it. So
if someone wants to volunteer and help with the trash, because I saw one come up at the end that was like, I'm here to clean up the river. Yeah.
If anyone is interested in volunteering, you can go to our website, ipswichriver.org, and just click on volunteer and send us your information, and we'll be in touch with you. It's also, our website's a great place to check out all of our events, because river cleanups isn't all that we do. We do so much. We do educational for young people and adults. So we have, I know we have a couple of talks coming up at the library. We have meditative paddles coming up. I'm trying to think, we have so many, May is a busy month, so between walks, meditation events, paddles, cleanups, and then more talks about the river at libraries and things like that. So always check out our website, ipswichriver.org, for all of the events and new ways to get involved and to visit the river and visit us and get to know us better.
Want to introduce yourself as
Yeah,
well?
sure. Yeah. Well, I was just thinking about how today we were out on the river cleaning up, and it's not the only thing we're doing, because tomorrow we're going to be out on a different river here in Ipswich and Essex, doing some environmental science activities with young people.
Yeah, because you're the educational manager.
And
Yes,
so we do a lot of public engagement, but we also do education in classrooms. So during the school year, I'm in a lot of 5th grade and 7th grade classrooms. We've got really great teachers in the area who want to get their kids outside doing science and seeing what they can do to protect the river. Like I said, we've got this exciting program happening outside tomorrow. Hopefully it doesn't rain, where we're going to test water quality. We're going to look at different kinds of fish that we find in the river, and we're even doing a vegetation survey to see what kinds of grasses are growing in the salt marsh. So today we cleaned up the river, and tomorrow we're going to be doing environmental science on the river. We're going to be doing water quality testing and all kinds of other field science with kids, with families. So that's a lot of what I do.
I love it.
It's a really exciting time for the river too, and to be doing the work that we do, because not only we're kind of more on the Emma works a lot with young children in an educational setting. I work a lot with the public and just trying to engage people who already are somewhat familiar with the river but need a different just need we want to give them a little bit more, right? And that's like the work that we do, because not only do we engage people and kids, but we also spearhead restoration projects to try to improve like habitat. We do for all from bugs to beavers. But we also do a lot of monitoring. So we monitor, for instance, bugs, right? That's a big part of what we do, because those tell us how healthy the river is, and the rest of the food web relies on them. And we do a ton of advocacy work. So right now we're in a drought. We've been trying to get this drought bill passed.
I told you when I was driving over here, there's that huge sign right downtown.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And so that's like the work we do that people might not know that much about, right? And they might not know how important it is for them to call their local representatives and tell them, like, you need to sponsor the drought bill. Our water depends on it, and the fact that the Ipswich River is the drinking water source for 350,000 people, those are the people that we work on behalf of. These restoration projects, the advocacy work that we do, the science, the monitoring that we do, is all because we know that when you open up your faucet and pour yourself a glass of water, this is the other side of it. We want people to be thinking about the river and the water flowing through it when you open up that faucet, which, especially right now in this like unprecedented drought, it's more important than ever. Even though the water looks high and the river looks full, it's still really important to conserve water in all the little ways. That all adds up.
If you had to give like a tip to someone how to conserve water, because I'm a gardening household. I don't do the gardening. My husband and my mom do the gardening every day, but...
So we're going to do a little bit of trivia then.
Yes.
So we're going to play a game called Guess the Gallons.
Okay.
How many gallons of water do you think you use on a given day?
Oh my goodness. Just in one day. 100 gallons.
100 gallons.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay. How much water do you think the average American uses in a given day?
If I'm not
Do you think
average,
you're
I'm
average?
probably about average.
About average?
Yeah.
Well, actually, that's a really good guess.
It is?
The average American, and this varies widely, because actually the number is a lot lower for folks here on the North
it is.
Shore. But the average American uses 100 gallons of water per day.
Wait, I got it right. I just know that most people like round numbers, so I'm like, I'm going to go round, but big.
Yeah,
I
that's
like that.
Definitely the right magnitude.
I didn't study before this, I swear.
But I'll tell you this too, our rivers have a budget. And so every river has a certain amount of water that we could safely take from it before those bugs that depend on cool flowing water start to suffer, and the other wildlife, the aquatic wildlife, starts to suffer, and before the whole river system as an ecosystem starts to degrade. The budget for the Ipswich River and other rivers of similar size here on the North Shore is around 40 gallons per person per day. So 40 gallons per person per day is what we should be aiming for.
So we should cut our shower time in half. What should we do?
Okay. So we'll get to that too. So how much water do you think a shower, like a 10-minute shower,
A lot.
takes?
I feel like showers and baths, like my dad takes baths every day, and I'm like, that's so much water.
It's a lot of water.
Yeah.
I would say, I think the number that we use is a low flow shower head uses 2.5 gallons of water per minute. And your typical, like, sort of a little bit older model shower head might use 5 gallons of water per minute. So 5 times 10-minute shower with an older shower head, that's 50 gallons of water right
that's
there.
That's crazy. So that's your whole
That's your
40
budget
for the
for the
river,
day.
yeah.
For the day. If you water your lawn with a sprinkler for 1 hour, how many gallons do you think that might be?
Oh my goodness. There's so many sprinkler heads in our yard because we're on over an acre, so it's probably a lot.
Turning on
I have
your
yet to
sprinkler?
see them on though.
Oh,
This
okay.
season,
Good.
yeah.
Okay,
We've gotten
that's
so
it.
much rain lately.
Yeah.
Watering your lawn for 1 hour with your sprinkler uses 1,000 gallons of water.
Oh my goodness.
And that's the budget, the daily budget for 25 people. Yeah.
So your recommendations are
Use
no
that
sprinklers.
water. Yeah, use that rain barrel.
Use the rain
barrel,
barrels.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, use the rain
Well,
barrel.
I know my husband was telling me some states you're not even allowed to use rain barrel, but here in Massachusetts you're allowed. Because we're from Arizona, or I am. He's from Idaho, which you're not allowed to own rain barrels.
That's so
Yeah.
interesting to me. but I think it has something to do with wanting that water to go back into the ground. But we actually know that storing that water in a rain barrel, it's kind of for the best for us, because that's 65 gallons of water you can use in your garden that otherwise might run off of a driveway, make its way out into the river, picking up pollutants as it goes, and doesn't really have a chance to soak into the ground and become groundwater. So rain barrels are good.
And a fun fact on the North Shore, a lot of our towns have programs, rain barrel programs, where you can get them at a discount or for free.
I think we did.
So,
but again, I don't really do the gardening.
yeah, but you can check your town website for rain barrel information.
You can also use drought-resistant plants, native plants.
That
don't need
yeah.
as much water.
So to bring it back, I know you just reached out to me, and I love that. How did you find me?
So I had the dance protest dance event on my radar, and then I somehow stumbled through that. I stumbled on your ICAM show, and I was.
Well, you must have done a lot of clicking.
I will say I was shocked. I mean, and I'm from Chicago, but I've lived here, for the most part of the last 20-some years, and I was like jaw-droppingly shocked and excited to come across your show and to hear you lived in town and you were doing these things, and it felt really exciting to me to know that there's more people in my community that I didn't know, that was it was an exciting find for me in this small town. And so I wanted to, I've had this idea of planning a family pride paddle. So we've done pride paddles for the last couple of years, because a lot of what we do in the summertime is at the Ipswich River Watershed Association headquarters here in Ipswich. Our members have access to our dock and our fleet of kayaks and canoes. So we do free paddles all summer long. You have to sign up on our website, but providing opportunities for people to paddle on the river is a big part of what we do during paddle season, May through October. So I'm planning paddles, and we always do a pride paddle, but I wanted to do specifically a family pride paddle this year. Coming out of, I'm a mom of a young child, and they're exploring their identity, and I know a lot of their friends are exploring their identity, and I've been talking to other parents, and we're trying to navigate this, and I just want to, I thought it was the perfect opportunity to try to have a family pride paddle, to build community around this topic, to build support for these young people who are exploring their identity in 2025, right? And it's a crazy world out there right now. So it really kind of came out of the need of a couple of kids I know that I wanted to support. And this is the perfect platform, and being in nature teaches you something. You can, we can all take cues from nature. We can all learn from nature, from whether it's the way fish survive a migration up the river, or or how birds nest. There's something there for everybody. So I'm a big believer in nature also helping with mental health. So I thought this was kind of the perfect example. So the first thing I did was I was like, I know I can't be the voice in this conversation because I'm a straight woman. But
you're an ally.
Well, yes, no, exactly. So that was my first thing, is I wanted to look for people in my community who would be willing to collaborate, who would be willing to come and be a voice. I'm really interested in trying to provide a space for these young people to explore and feel comfortable exploring their identity, but also to make connections with other people in their community who maybe have already been on this journey, right? And then for the families, right? Because that's the kind of conversations I'm having with other parents, is what do we, how do we best do this? So I really just want to provide a safe space for these young people and their families to come out, to have conversations, to feel safe enough to have these types of conversations, because I want for these young people to be in the coffee shop or be at the grocery store and be I know that person. Exactly.
See the flag.
I know there's a safe person here if that if they need something, or just to encourage that the community and being together no matter who you are. So that's kind of how it all happened. So here we are.
Yes, and I'm so appreciative of you asking me to not only speak at the event, but just to help build the community here in Ipswich, because I moved here 2 years ago and I was so inspired by the people I was seeing, the artists and other queer members of our community, but there were no gathering sites yet for us. But it's building thanks to you at Ipswich River. And so it'll be an amazing event for families to come and ask those questions. I'll be giving a performance on the viola.
I know, and it's so cool too because Ipswich, like the young, like Ipswich, even in the elementary school, we have such a great music program for the kids. So like all of the kids are, are exposed to music, and a lot of them do like take that with them and continue on with it. So I think it's such a perfect fit for this town, and for these kids too. So, so I'm so grateful that you are willing to be there.
Oh no,
not only to
I
speak
wouldn't
and to
miss
perform.
it, and then please invite me to any and all upcoming events. Yes.
So we are doing a couple more Pride events. So I'm going to be planning an outdoor Pride meditation event where we'll just be outside and have do it's like no meditation experience necessary. Just come and we'll lead you through a little guided meditation out in nature.
You offer sessions already, right? You professionally do meditation.
So my day job is with the river. By night, I'm a yoga and meditation instructor. So, but I incorporate a lot of that mindfulness into the events we do at the river. Again, because we have so much we can learn from nature. So we have we'll have a Pride meditation event, and then we'll also be doing, and Emma will be leading a Pride paddle in July. So, but it's nice to build on it every year. And this year, the really new thing is this the family Pride paddle.
Yeah, and we need to get families involved because they have your concerns and your questions. You're not alone. I teach families here in Ipswich, and they are coming to this event, and and they have similar concerns.
You want your kids to feel safe and to feel comfortable, and it shouldn't be weird. It shouldn't be scary. It should be a fun time to be curious. That's the experience I want for them.
Yes. And I'm sure you do events year round, or how can we support?
We're working really hard in our advocacy work year round. We're in schools year round too, so you might be coming out of hibernation. I have been working pretty hard the past couple of months because it's the season when we're in classrooms.
So do schools usually reach out to you,
Yeah, it's definitely a mix.
Yeah.
We have some partnerships actually with youth serving organizations on the North Shore that are long-standing partnerships, and then some newer partnerships too. But really, anybody who reaches out to us, to the extent possible, I want to say yes, because the whole goal, right, is to get these young people who are looking for a place to feel comfortable out in nature and feel like they have a connection to their drinking water resource, to their environment, and then bit by bit, however we can reach them, whether it's through the Boys and Girls Club reaching out to us for a summer program with our floating classroom, or a school teacher in middle school letting us come in and talk about fish. We want these kids to have multiple opportunities to interact with their environment and to learn about the different ways that they can be environmental stewards, whether that's just enjoying the river and getting out there and knowing more about the environment, or whether they want to be an environmental scientist or an engineer, if they want to be an advocate. There are so many different ways that they can, grow up and then, and as they're growing up, be advocates for the river. So there are lots of things that we do throughout the year, lots of school programs during the year, but you want to talk about some of the engagement.
Yeah, I would say during the summer too, it's a great time to be involved, not just with the river, but with the Ipswich River Watershed Association, because like I mentioned earlier, if you're a member of our membership-driven organization, if you're a member, you can use our boats from our dock in Ipswich for free. And our membership fees are very reasonable. It started at $50 and $75 for a family. So you don't have to schlep around boats. But so you can get out on the river, but you'll also see we have a ton of field trips that come through in the summer. And that's some of my favorite experiences, is helping Emma with her field trips in the summer.
How do you organize that? Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Groups of like I'm thinking of the
Figure
Girls
16.
Inc.
Oh,
And the
yeah.
Girls Inc. group where it was like, I don't know, 40 kids, 40
Yeah.
girls.
What's Girls
we got
Inc.?
on.
So that's one of those youth serving organizations, these amazing youth serving organizations that also work tirelessly throughout the year. And their focus isn't necessarily environmental, it's youth support. So Girls Inc. is one of these groups.
And they brought them to our headquarters, and Emma had like science stations for them, but then we got to take them out in smaller groups on the river. And I love that. I think it's so much fun. Where especially, and like I said, I grew up in Chicago. I didn't.
But there's
see
a big river.
Yeah,
That turns green. And
the entire river is green in
That's what I know about the river.
And so I never experienced this as, I came to be, to love nature and kayak and swim and all of that as an adult. So to be with like, with young people on the river, and it's like, okay, and and like sometimes, especially when it's a very gentle river, it's usually very easy for beginner paddlers, and and they're nervous, and then they see a spider in the boat, and it's like, so, but if you could get them in the water, and then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
Now, you know what, my favorite part was like, put your paddle down. You're not like going to be like taking it down river. Put your paddle down, close your eyes, listen. Put your hands in the water, and immediately it was like, and to see these, in this case, this group of girls, like some of them were still like worried about a spider, but some of them were like, and just put their hands in the river and were like, oh, it's warm.
Yeah.
And to witness that, that's like the magic. That's what makes all the office work really worth it. You know what I mean? When you're like, I got 60 emails to respond to. It's all for those moments. It's for the moments where you see somebody really connect with the river or nature or whatever in a totally different way than maybe they were expecting. So I love summertime. I love that we have all these field trips that visit us at the river, but it's also just it's a great time for us because we're doing monthly paddles available to the public, great for beginners. We do everything from, like pride paddles to meditative paddles to like the fall foliage paddle is just like, we're just going to paddle around and look at colors. I mean, it's like, it's nice to take that like brain break on the river. We also have another big event. Our big signature annual event is called Riverfest, and it happens at the Ipswich River Park in North Reading, and so that's June 14th, and that's a super fun day too because it's free, it's open, it's a great family event. It's the day before Father's Day, and we have Mass Wildlife will be there with a fishing clinic. So it's just such a great time for people to bring, and adults or kids, if you've never fished before, it's like they have the poles, they have the baits, they have the technicians who teach you how to fish. So we have that, we do crafts, we have live music, we have food, so it's just sort of a nice celebration of the river and an opportunity for people to try new things like fishing. And so that's, again, June 14th from 10 to 1 p.m., 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturday, so definitely check that out.
I love that you mentioned that date because my huge open stage variety show is that same date,
Oh,
but
really?
it's after your event,
okay, good.
so they could go paddle the river,
Yes,
and then head up to First Church.
Can I make a volunteering plug?
Yes.
Okay, so we have lots of opportunities to volunteer year-round as well. I would say right now the thing to do is to do a fish count at the Ipswich Mills Dam Fish Ladder.
Can we see it from here?
You kind of
I was like, you looked over here,
It's
so I was
right
like,
past the footbridge.
Yep.
On the left.
And this is the time of year, so April, May, and June are the months when these fish that live their adult lives in the ocean are swimming up into fresh water to spawn. And unfortunately here in the Ipswich River, where we used to have millions of these fish come into the river, now we see maybe a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 in a year.
Why is that?
Well, I can get
So
into it.
excited that you asked. Let me tell you.
Okay, hold on. Let me finish my plug first. Okay, I'll finish the plug and then we're going to talk about fish. So this time of year, April, May, June, it's great to go do a fish count. It's 10 minutes of very relaxing, honestly, like staring into the water.
You're literally
counting
just
fish.
counting them as they pass by?
Yes, and most of the time you see zero. But
Yes.
zero is really important
But you
data.
might see
And then you
beavers
log it?
or muskrats.
And you log it, yes.
So you're getting free labor out of this. I love it.
Well, that's what volunteering is.
No, I could just imagine my students being like,
No, we
Yes.
have an amazing teacher at the high school. Lori LaFrance, I don't know if I can give her a shout
who doesn't
out,
know, yeah.
who takes her students out to the fish ladder. And in fact, we now have one of her students who's graduating this year and going off to college in the fall is our intern. Because they like had a great experience counting fish with Lori at the fish ladder. So yes, so count fish. We do macroinvertebrate count, so those are those bugs that live in the bottom of the river. Typically we do that in the fall, but I think that might be shifting a little bit.
How do you count those?
You scoop them up in a net.
Oh, okay. I was like,
dump them. Actually, we typically have our interns do the sorting and the counting for those, but those can tell us a lot about the health of the river. So if certain very sensitive bugs are thriving, that means the river's doing okay in that spot. And if they're not present and it's just a bunch of leeches, then maybe the water quality isn't so good. So we do that. There's monthly water quality testing. I think actually we might be doing bi-weekly water quality testing over the summer for some projects.
Yeah, we've ramped up our water quality testing.
Yeah. And then please come help with education programs. So in the floating classroom over the summer, we've got kids out there 3-4 days a week. We need people to just be nice to the youth who show up, and
because it's all ages. There's no
all ages. Yeah. A lot of teens and tweens getting into boats for the first time, getting out to the river for the first time. And it's a lot of kids. There's a lot of moving parts, and it's great for them to see adults in their community or near peers, so other high schoolers or college students in the community who just want to make sure they have a really good time. So lots of volunteer opportunities.
I know, and I'll throw in too. A lot of times too, even with our our free public paddles, we're looking for help with those, as well as even tabling. Hey, if your town has an apple festival, we want to be there, and we need some help. Just kind of talking about the river and tabling at different types of events. So there's lots of opportunities. And if none of these really kind of pique your interest, but you want to help out, please reach out to us. And because we have a lot of, a lot of times we have special projects especially for people who have a special skill set. So
there's a contact form on our website, ipswichriver.org.
And you said you wanted to talk about fish.
Oh,
don't get us started.
Let's talk about fish.
100 years ago or maybe 150 years ago, they used to say you used to be able to drop a bucket off of the Choate Bridge or basket, and you'd pull it up and it would be filled with herring. So that was
Is that legal now?
Turn of the century.
I was
well,
like,
no,
that's definitely not legal.
No.
And not possible.
And not possible. So our river here is the population is struggling and slowly, declining.
It's virtually zero.
It's virtually zero. But if you go to the Essex River or to the Parker River, so that's where we were yesterday with fish scales in our hair, was at the Parker River. That river has tens of thousands of herring that make their way up that river. So what we were doing yesterday was helping Division of Marine Fisheries. What they do is they literally take a net and scoop these fish and put them in a bucket. Then we run the bucket up to a big bucket on the back of a truck. And then we make a mad rush to Hood Pond in Topsfield. And we release those fish into Hood Pond. That's where those fish spawn. And then the fish that spawn there will be trying to make their way back to Hood Pond. So it's Hood
Pond is part of the Ipswich River system.
Yeah, so we're stocking a different river system with fish from the Parker in order to try to boost the population in the future. But it takes years. Actually, just the other day up in Howlett Brook, which is a tributary that actually takes you to Hood Pond, but there's a little fish ladder and dam over on the Howlett Brook, and there was evidence of an otter. They think it was probably an otter was eating a herring. So we know that the herring have made their way back. Are trying to find their way back. So we know that it's starting to take hold. But part of our work and part of especially the restoration work that we do is to improve the habitat for these fish, which includes removing barriers like dams. Mm-hmm. So that's a big part of what we do.
It also includes keeping enough water in the river, going back to water conservation, because these fish need a certain amount, they need the water temperature to be pretty cool, and they also need a certain amount of dissolved oxygen to breathe. And when there's not a lot of water available in the river, there's actually not a lot of oxygen available either.
So that's why our river doesn't have that many fish?
lots of different reasons.
Yeah.
The barriers are a big one. So when colonists came here and started building up on the river and doing industry, that's when the numbers of fish start to drop off. And then there was like an inventory, I think in 1912, they estimated that maybe there were about 400,000 herring. Bring it forward to today where, maybe 1,000 in a year.
But like the Essex had 36,000 last year, so we know the fish are around, and we think a big part of it is the dam, which is why we're big proponents of dam removal. We're working on removing the Ipswich Mills Dam. It's sort of outdated infrastructure, like it doesn't serve a commercial or industrial purpose anymore. It hasn't for about 100 years. So we think that removing this dam will be a big step in making these habitat improvements.
I have a map of the Ipswich River and all of its tributaries. It sort of looks like a bunch of veins, right? And so you can imagine the fish they come from the ocean, they try to swim up the river, and then they can make their way into any one of these veins. And then I also have a map where it shows which of those little veins, which of those streams are completely blocked off. There's no way that fish could get into them because of obstructions like dams or some other obstruction where there's just no way for them to get past. And you can see that their territory that they could potentially get into has shrunk by more than half, really. So there's just, the water quality here is pretty good. There's not a lot of pollution in the Ipswich River. It could be a great habitat for these fish, but they're just not coming. Yeah. So we want to change that.
Well, it's been such a pleasure. I feel like
gosh.
I've gone to class.
Yes.
I'm excited for the future events. And honestly, like being a resident of this town and learning about the river and its significance to the town is why I want to connect myself more. I grew up as a Boy Scout, and like I just don't do as much except go to Crane Beach the last 2 years. So I'm excited for this paddle.
We will have you out there paddling as much as we can.
It's going to be so fun.
Well, thank you for joining
Thank you
Ipswich
for doing
River,
this. Oh my
and
goodness.
I look forward to all our future events.
Me too.
Yeah, see you on the river.
Yes.